Hey there, YouTube. I'm Jack. This is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Joined again here with my roommate Amanda, who you guys know by now. We're actually not gonna lie to you. We're knocking out more than one video today. So if we appear looking similar in any videos, that's the reason why. I thought I'd take advantage of having a woman here and talk about raw food diet and the specific nutritional needs for women, which I wouldn't know. So, guys, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please go down and hit the subscribe button now. Come back and check out some more of the content, and then click on the little bell and check send notifications so you'll stay subscribed to the channel. Amanda, now I'm sure, there's a lot of stuff there's like that long list of stuff that we all need. But
yeah,
I'm sure just with the complexity of the differences within men and women and just the different ways that women's bodies function, that there are probably, and just me knowing women a little bit, I'm sure there's probably some specific differences that women need to focus on that we might not necessarily need to.
Yeah, I might not say differences necessarily, but definitely some things that perhaps have a finer line for us to walk, and some considerations that are maybe apply to both genders, but they're all the more important for women, since they can impact your cycle and things like that. Did you have any specific questions, or did you want me to just start?
No, just start. Like I say, I don't even know what to ask about the specific needs for women.
I can relate. I guess if I had to ask about men's health, I would be like, so just what?
Right.
Tell me the things. So one of the first things that I would make sure to pay attention to is your fat intake. I just think that it's really important to find the sweet spot for you, for your own body, where it's not too much, but also not too little. From being vegan for 5 years now, regardless of raw or cooked, the way that I have handled fat, I would just say, has evolved a little bit. And I've tried different methods, and I've had definitely too much fat at times, and then definitely too little at times. And it can affect your cycle. So I know many women who have gone too low on their fat and maybe lost their periods for a while. When that happens, I think often it's likely that the person isn't eating enough in general as well.
Right.
But I mean, for example, regardless of whether or not you're vegan, if your body fat just drops too low, it's common for women to lose their cycle then.
Yeah, I've noticed that with that makes sense, because I've noticed that with like marathon runners and triathletes, especially when they're training heavy for that and get super lean. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a struggle as a female, in the sense that you, if you want to do like those really awesome sports and they give you joy and excitement and they're a passion for you, definitely do them. It's just this weird situation where you have to be extra cautious of not running into any issues as your body fat percentage gets pretty low in those kinds of cases, because there's no other way to do that. When you're like a marathoner, ultra marathoner, like there's no other way to do that. So I would also say that it's important, because I've also talked to many women who have been on the other side of the spectrum, that I've experienced this too, where if my fat percentage gets too high, then actually I wind up getting more cramps during my cycle. So I'm in more pain then.
So like you say, there's really a sweet spot.
There's a sweet spot, and it's going to be unique to you. I feel like for most women, somewhere between 10 and 15% is probably pretty good. I definitely wouldn't say to ever go under 8% or more than 20%. Personally, I would be surprised. I'm sure that it exists. Honestly, Cara Brotman eats very salad-based kinds of things and uses olive oil and stuff. And she's a smart woman, so I would imagine if that gave her any issue, that she would not be doing that. So I would be surprised to see something like that, because I don't think it's particularly as common, but it's not, it's not impossible. So you're going to have to figure out what your body responds to the best. For me, honestly, I need typically more than 10%, but I tend to stay right between maybe 10 to 15%, and it's pretty optimal for me in terms of how I feel.
Now that's a little bit of a surprise to me, because I was thinking that maybe like women, you might go a little bit higher being a woman, because I actually try to kind of stay between 10 and 15% myself, and I'm sure sometimes of the year I probably drift off into that 18% from time to time as well.
Well, it's also a little hard for me to say, because over the years, and we were discussing this the other day, that my style in terms of how I approach fat, I think when I first went vegan, I was probably a little scared of it even. And now it's not that I'm afraid of it, it's that I honestly crave other things, and then there'll randomly be like, I don't know, a day a week or even 2 days a week, or it might be longer than that. It just depends on what I've been doing and my activity level and where I'm at in my cycle, where I'm like, yeah, I want like a whole avocado or a bunch of cashews, or like instead of having that little tiny bit every day, which I do eat Brazil nuts pretty much every day. So that does happen, and there are some fruits that have like seeds in them and stuff, and then I get plenty of greens, which have very low calories, but the percentage of their calories from fat and protein from greens is higher than you might think. But that's typically how I do things, and then when I do crave something richer, I haven't had a ton of it, so I can have a larger portion of it in a sitting and really feel like satisfied and really feel like, okay, I don't want that for a few days again, because I'm just kind of good.
Right.
And I think you do the same thing. Yeah. But that definitely will be a sweet spot for your own body that you kind of have to figure out. Those are very general frames in terms of what I think a lot of people respond well to, but you know, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a nutritionist. I don't want to diagnose anyone with anything or tell you what to do. You're going to have to figure that out on your own for to a degree. The other thing I would say is especially important, even more so, to time your fat with your greens and add in some lemon or lime or some kind of citrus then, and that's focused around your mineral absorption. And I'm sure
that's probably a good tip for everybody.
That's
right
a good
there,
tip
right?
for everyone, but especially as a female, you have to be getting enough iron, and those are things that will help you absorb enough iron from the food that you are eating. So it's a good tip for everyone, but if you're female, all the more important for you to be optimizing those kinds of things. So try to do that. Also with your sprouts, because those are a great source of minerals and protein to help you absorb iron. So the other thing that I would say that's extremely important, and it might depend on your body, I have read that people with a history of digestive issues are more prone to issues with oxalates. Mm-hmm. I do not do well with spinach myself. I have found that, and there's a number of foods that are maybe on the higher end of the spectrum in terms of the oxalates that they have, but spinach is really like out there. And to a degree this applies to everyone, because oxalates will inhibit your absorption of the very minerals that you're probably eating spinach for.
Right.
So you're not really getting access to everything if you eat spinach, especially raw. If you want to eat spinach, I would probably recommend not making it your mainstay, and when you do have it, to steam it. If you juice it, you're not getting rid of the oxalates as far as research shows.
That's
so
good
far.
to know, because I've actually been doing that the past couple of months. Is when I've been having my spinach, I've been steaming it.
Good.
Yeah.
For me, even if I steam spinach, I have trouble. So what actually happens for me is it's not even just the absorption issue. I actually get like way worse than my fat ratio being off. That will give me the worst cramps during my cycle. And I've read that some people with digestive issues in their past are more sensitive to those. So that could be, you know, if you feel like your cycle is extremely painful each month, just give it a try. The other thing is that it's not that I have totally zero spinach ever. I would say that it's rare, but the other thing is that it seems to be okay, or more okay, if I kind of time it so that it's not really close to my period. So if it's like the 2 weeks, or especially the 1 week before my period, then it's like, okay, definitely no spinach this week. But if it's earlier in the cycle, then it doesn't seem to be as much of an issue. And that can have a compounding effect for me because there are other foods that have oxalates in them and are somewhat high, like strawberries, but there's still nothing compared to spinach. Spinach is just like exceptionally high. So this kind of ties into everything I already said, but you need to be getting enough iron, and you need to be making sure that you're absorbing that iron. So timing some of those parts correctly can really help you make sure that you do that. And if you're really having issues, don't feel like you can't take an iron supplement. Find a vegan iron supplement and take that. This is not a pursuit of purity kind of a thing. You can be open to those kinds of things and still eat raw and call yourself a raw vegan. You don't have to be some purist to call yourself a raw vegan. If you're getting even like 70, 75%, honestly, in my opinion, if it's over 50% of your calories, then it's the majority of your calories. So go ahead and call yourself one. I don't care if you call yourself one. That's not my business anyways. But if you feel like it's this label that you're striving for, and somehow if you take an iron supplement, you no longer feel like authentic or like you count as a raw vegan, that just don't bother getting caught up in that. It's not a mindset that's serving you. If you have any concerns about weight loss, or if you're putting on weight, especially like in the middle, in your midsection, something that I would recommend is making sure that you're having your fats separate from your fruits. I know especially some raw gourmet kind of desserts can combine those, and that's not typically good in terms of insulin resistance. So another thing that is similar to that is to try to eat your calories earlier in the day. When we wake up, we have less insulin resistance, and as we go throughout the day, it increases by the time that we're having dinner. So if you have your bigger meals earlier in the day, that's helpful as well. On a similar thread, I would definitely say to try to go to bed early and wake up early so that you can accommodate for that. And I am so guilty of I'm very, very bad at that. It's not that you can't get by being a night owl, but
you just have a different cycle. I mean, it's kind of sick. It's the sun's not up, but you're still doing, I've noticed over the course of the time, even though you get up a lot later than me, you still have the same daily cycle. It's just in a different time.
Well, yes, but your body knows when the sun is coming up.
Really?
Yeah. Your body knows what the natural rhythm is.
Like your body can't just get into its own rhythm necessarily.
Well, it can. I mean, mine is.
Right.
But is it the ideal rhythm
based
on when the sun rises and the sun sets that every cell in my body is aware of?
Right.
Not so much. And when your circadian rhythm is thrown off, it's a lot easier to have hormonal disruptions, to have stress levels that your body isn't responding well to, because stress is going to happen. So it just sort of makes things just a little harder than they have to be. Even for me, I feel good, but I know that I would feel better if I could fix that. I just tend to get caught up in work and other things at night. So that's something where, do what I'm recommending, not do as I say, not as I do. I would also mention it's okay to not have abs. Your stomach, honestly, my stomach's pretty flat, but it's not like I have these super defined abs, and I think that that's honestly maybe even for the best. There's definitely some theories out there that for women especially, just because of the organs that are in that area, that having honestly like a full-on 6-pack or like 12-pack kind of situation probably means that your body fat is getting a little too low, and that could be a hormonal issue in the future for you. So don't obsess over things like having abs. Definitely be fit, have I love my flat stomach. That's great. That's something that I want for myself, but it's not something where you need to kind of obsess over having
Well, I like
abs.
to say if you're going to focus on that area, and this is for practical functionality, focus on your core and not your abs. Because
Yeah.
the abs, I was just telling Amanda today, I can show her a few tricks and I can do that. Like I got crazy abs like 2 summers ago, but my core wasn't as strong as it has been at other times. So yeah, and you're right there, because to get those abs is just basically shredding.
Yeah.
And by the time you're getting to where you get those next level abs, you are very low body fat.
Yeah.
And just like women bodybuilders, I've followed women bodybuilders before, and they have extra issues, extra problems as they get closer to a competition.
Yeah, it really, all of that ties into body image, and certainly, and we're going to make a video about that, but you're going to have to find peace with your body, wherever it's at. And remember that what you're doing on a vegan or raw vegan diet, whatever fitness regimen that you're trying to add in to your lifestyle, all of those things need to have a common goal in placing your health as the top priority. If your health is the top priority, then the other things tend to fall into place in a way where you feel comfortable and confident and happy enough, and that is a great place to come from in terms of just a balanced life.
And a healthy
good
body,
life.
to be honest with you, a healthy body is an attractive body.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times I'll say to somebody like, oh, she's got a nice body or he's got a nice body. And I'm not necessarily talking what people are talking about when they're looking at Instagram photos. Ooh, she's like ripped and has all these abs. I'm just saying when I can look at a person, they may not have the abs, but there's just something about them, and we all have different body types.
Yeah.
Like especially women, you have women that are not super skinny, but you look at them and they're very fit.
Yeah.
And there's an I don't know how to word it. There's an attractiveness to actual health, to real fitness, and as opposed to just the surface. Okay, well, she's got abs or whatever, and you can look at people when they've got that, but they're not necessarily healthy. So
Yeah, I've totally been there before,
Right.
and we can get into that in the body image video, but that's something that, part of your health is your stress level.
Right.
And if you are constantly obsessing over how you look and stressing about that and feeling like maybe you need to lose weight or something, you're not placing your health as the number one priority. You're placing your appearance as the number one priority. And at some point, that's going to unravel. It's going to be an issue. It might not happen very soon. Maybe you can get by for 5 years or even 10 years. But like at some point, it's going to cause issues that you otherwise wouldn't have had on your plate down the road. If you just focus on your health first and make that the priority, it also just makes all of the choices and habits that you're making, like if you're transitioning to raw, for example, it just makes that easier because it takes some pressure off of you to have to be perfect right away or ever, because nobody's perfect.
Yeah. No, 8 years in, nowhere close to perfect.
So there's definitely some other things that I could touch on, but I think the last thing that I'll mention are just sort of some hacks and a reminder to eat enough calories, regardless of your fat or carbs or protein ratio. Just in general, be eating enough calories. If your calorie intake goes too low for too long, that's a really good way to lose your cycle, to have a bunch of other hormonal issues. Those issues will probably cause weight gain, which is the very thing that you were probably restricting your calories for to begin with.
Right.
Or if you're new to this and you just accidentally were under eating, it's really valuable to transition slowly, let your body sort of adapt and respond to things so that you can eat more, but also get used to checking in chronometer from time to time, making sure that you are actually eating as much as it feels like you're eating. But then the other thing that I would mention are just some hacks that I use if I do feel anything around my cycle that's any sort of like lower back pain or cramps or nausea or anything like that, which hasn't happened in quite a while, but I have an acupressure mat. Those things look really terrifying, but they do amazing things. I use it for sciatic pain too, if I've been like running a lot or something. I love my acupressure mat. It's awesome. It can also help with insomnia if you use it before bedtime. And then the other thing that so the brand is called doTERRA. They have a scent that's a mixture called Clarity Calm that actually my sister turned me on to. So thanks, Christy. But that scent helps an insane amount. I wouldn't have expected it, but it helps immensely with cramps. And I think just the feeling of stress when it's that time of the month. And it definitely helps with nausea. I've used it at other points when I was a little nauseous for whatever reason, and it had nothing to do with my cycle. And it comes in a little roller. It's not cheap, but it'll last you for at least like half the year, because it's not like you're using it every day. But I'll just put a little bit on like the inside of my wrist in these sort of warm areas. And it smells really nice and just sort of comforting and soothing. I've even used it around bedtime again if I was having trouble sleeping or in a new place and I felt like I needed some comfort. And it's really easy to just carry in your purse because it's kind of like the size of chapstick. So those two things I found have helped me a lot if I was having issues and needed immediate relief. Those were awesome. The acupressure mat I've also used in the car before if I needed something on my lower back, or I'm sure many women have done this, but if you have a nicer car and have like the heated seats, that feels great too. Even if you're just sore from a workout, it feels so good. But yeah, I would like to dive into more of the actual science behind this. These are, for the most part, things that I've noticed for myself that help me with that aspect of my health. But I think that there's a lot more that could be discussed there. I'm also curious to learn more about what men experience. Like, what if any of you are still watching this, because it's already been over 20 minutes, but I'm curious what you guys have picked up on, or what you've picked up on, Jack, that you feel like is really important for you as a male that maybe is different from what we're experiencing.
I don't know if there's any needs. I don't do it up here as much. I can probably go very low fat for longer than women probably can without, affecting their bodies all that much. Like I could easily drop overt fat completely for like a month. Yeah. And it would be, actually I'd be kind of flying. It'd be hard to it'd be kind of hard to ground myself, but I can't think of any. I mean, I know there's probably some special nutritional needs for men. Zinc, I do try to focus a little bit more because males, we need zinc as well for different reasons, for virility, for, our essence. But no, I think it's a little bit more, personally, it's a little bit more specific for women. I think in general that there's a lot, like the bulk of it covers us all. I just think, and you tell me if I'm wrong, I think a lot of the differences has to do around the reproductive system and the childbearing years of women, periods each month, and just because you're on a cycle. We don't have cycles, you're always.
Well, you do. Actually.
What kind of cycles?
Men's hormones change throughout the month. You just don't have like the same obvious symptoms of it. That's interesting.
Well, now we might have just come up with another idea for a video there, because I'm not aware of those at all. But that's something I would be very interested in learning.
Maybe the next time you feel like you're having an off day, it's your hormones.
Yeah, might be. Well, guys, I really want to thank Amanda for doing these in-depth videos with us. And what she just said right there is as in-depth as this was. When she has her channel, she even plans on doing some series on some of these topics and even going really a deeper dive on this. So like I say, I'm going to let you guys know as soon as and we're shooting videos together. Who knows? By the time I'm talking here and when I put it out, she may have a channel out by then, so I will be dropping links there. But just to let you know, some of these subjects that you're very interested in, and people have been reaching out to both of us through Instagram, she is going to dig into more in depth. So we're just as sciencey as this is. She's just kind of scratching the surface here.
I really, really am. Yeah. I mean, especially as someone. Part of what I love so much about it, and in the act of sharing that, is that I I am not, since I'm not a doctor or a scientist or a nutritionist or someone that typically lives in that world, I love sort of going in and deciphering that information and figuring out for myself how it actually applies to my life, but then also being able to share that in a way that is in non-medical language, that is in a
You're
way
a hacker.
that, yeah,
You
a
go
little
like
bit,
even on
yeah.
a lot of things, you go in and hack it your way, and you figure
Yeah.
out how to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, each piece, philosophy for the sake of philosophy isn't really worth it, right? So science for the sake of science isn't really worth it. You have to look for the thing that has an impact on your life and then apply that thing and practice that thing. Just having the knowledge without actually applying it, or
Right.
the philosophy or the science without applying it, it's not really actually doing anything for you.
Yeah.
So if there's something that you're trying to do, but you don't have a way to apply it to your life yet, either figure out how to apply it, or maybe it's not something that's actually like worth it. Maybe it doesn't have enough of an impact on your life,
Right.
or maybe it's not practical enough for you to really be able to do that consistently. Consistency is always important. so.
Definitely. All right. Well, hope you guys enjoyed that one today. If you like it, please give us a thumbs up. Maybe share it with your friends, maybe in your groups, and we'll see you here real soon. Peace.